Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're coming at you with the final review of our second year of podcasting.
Brutal.
I know. Ending on an auspicious note. So this week, we're going to be reviewing The Quest for El Dorado. This was given to us by a listener. I'm liking this new trend of listeners giving us games, by the way. You guys can keep that up. It's really nice. This one was hand-delivered to you two at Geekway by Boyd. Andrew, he was kind enough to be like, hey, I think you guys would dig this game. Please take it.
I think he said he thinks Jeff and I would.
Yeah.
Wasn't so sure about you.
I mean, that's fair. It's not quite up my direct alley, but yeah. So he sent it along, and along with the expansion, and it's like, hey, check it out. And we did. We played it. We played it multiple times, and now we're going to review it. So, without any further ado, let's dive into this thing. So, The Quest for El Dorado is a 2017 game designed by Rainer Knizia. Artist is Franz Vohwinkel, and published by Ravensburger. It plays 2 to 4 players and takes 30 to 60 minutes. Zach, do you have that rules rundown ready for us?
Yes, I do. In The Quest for El Dorado, you are racing other explorers to be the first to find the fabled City of Gold. On your turn, you can move across the board by playing cards that match the symbol color and strength of the tile that you want to move to. You can also purchase cards from the market to help strengthen your deck. If you're the first to cross onto a new tile board, you will have to spend something extra to help break through this blockade. If you reach El Dorado first, you then finish out the round to see if anyone else can reach it. If there is a tie, then you can compare the amount of blockades each player has to determine the winner.
Indeed. Nice and simple. Quick little deck builder race game. So let's dive here into some initial thoughts. Zach, so who actually got handed the game?
I believe it was me.
All right. So what were your initial thoughts as Andrew presented you with the game and then going into gameplays and everything like that?
When he handed it to me, I believe it was here you go. And I was like, cool. I didn't really know what the game was. And then he was like, it's like a deck building racing game. Or I feel like he sort of gave a very bare bones thing enough to be like, oh, it sounds like it could be cool.
Yeah.
And so I had been wanting to try it for a while since we got it. But unfortunately, I had left it here at Adrian's place, and Adrian just didn't bring it until I specifically was like, Adrian, bring the fucking thing.
Yeah, because you handed it to me and I set it off on the side, and then it wasn't like in my normal line of view when I'm like packing games for game night, and it out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
So.
But I like deck building, and I thought I liked how Clank used deck building on a board, and so I was curious to see how this would do it.
Okay. What about you, Jeff? What were your initial thoughts going into Quest for El Dorado?
I had little to no idea what the game was, but I like deck building, and it seemed like an interesting set of mechanics that were in there, like a race sort of deck builder. So I was very interested to try it.
Okay. I was in a similar boat. I didn't really know much about it. I know it was mentioned that it was lighter, and so I was a little skeptical because I don't tend to like lighter games. But I do like deck builders. I haven't played a lot of race games, but yeah, I was casually interested, and I was trying to not let whatever that El Dorado game that Paul had that was real shit. I was trying not to let my dislike of that bleed over just because of a similar theme.
Yeah, that's understandable. And name.
Yeah, and that's really more the thing, is that they're very, very similar names. But yeah, I was interested, but not really excited or dreading it anywhere. I was very meh on my interest level. Like, sure, I'll check it out. So let's move over here into some components discussion. It's a decent amount of cardboard in the box, especially in this case where the main box he gave us also had the full expansion in it.
Yeah,
So,
we should mention that we are reviewing the base game and the expansion.
yes.
Heroes and
Hexes.
hexes.
Yeah. So we'll differentiate a little bit, especially when we move on more into rules and into gameplay, between like what the differences are between the base game and what the expansion actually adds. But for the most part, when we're talking about it, we're going to be talking about both because we really rapidly added them in. But component-wise, it's a bunch of giant hexagonal cardboard pieces that are further divided into smaller hexes, and you use those to build a map. There's a whole bunch of little mini cards, and there's some little cardboard strips that are your like player strips that have like a spot for your deck and a spot for your discard, and a little brief rules overview, which is really basically the entire rules to the game.
Pretty much, yeah. So few rules. Nobody could get those wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That'll come up when we get to rules and rules explanation, I'm sure, about how we nailed the rules 100% every
As we
time
always
from
do.
the start. Yeah.
Like we always do with games.
Exactly.
I would say most of the large hex bases are split up into 37 hexes inside them.
Yeah.
Different terrain on them too, and it's all the symbols or all the spaces have different symbols and colors to help differentiate them.
Yep. Couple wooden bits, two little explorers per player.
8-card starter deck.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it.
With the base game, it is the starter deck is completely the same for each person.
Yes.
So
Yes.
And you have your little market boards and player boards.
yeah. Well, I think you said
I mentioned the player boards.
Yeah.
I didn't mention the market board.
Ah.
That is weirdly the only board in the game that's a puzzle piece board that just needed to be like an extra couple inches
4
long.
inches. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then that's the base game. In the expansion, there are some added, the base game also includes the mountain,
The
or
cave tokens. Yes.
And then the expansion adds hex tokens and hex cards.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise doesn't really add anything else. It adds some new boards.
Yeah. All the tokens and stuff are they're all iconography, so it's multi-language sort of stuff, and it's just the cards that have English words on them. So,
and even a fair amount of the cards are multilingual with no text. Just like the purple cards are the ones that are
yes,
have actual like, hey, here's how you actually use this card.
correct.
There would be very minor translation needed.
yes. Did you guys wish the mini cards were regular cards?
Sure do.
Really?
Yeah. I like regular size cards.
Okay.
That's why I bought that like 18
or whatever it is. Yeah.
1921 expansion for Ticket to Ride or whatever it is.
Okay.
1918.
Huh.
That just gives the game full size Ticket to Ride cards.
And I would say because it's a deck builder too, you're using these cards more than regular ones.
The only area I think it would be nice to have full size ones is the shuffling.
Yeah.
But even then, I think if you sleeved these with mini sleeves, then because it's not ever big enough, you don't build a big enough deck that you're going to riffle shuffle. You're going to just do a mass shuffle, and even mini sleeves make it easier to do a mass shuffle with those cards.
Yeah, I agree with that. Obviously, if they were bigger ones, that'd be better, I guess. But I'm fine with the smallish ones.
Yeah.
So
the expansion did add some more of those like little blockade things too, didn't it?
correct. Yes.
Yeah. Some of the new mechanics and then some more of the old mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
More difficult of the old mechanics, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
And then like a new little hero outpost thing.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
But then otherwise for components, that's really about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's really not much.
What did you think of the look of the board? I guess
It looks fine. I was going to say, right as you mentioned that, like there's not much art to speak of, but that's fine. But for me, I'm way more form over or function over form.
Yeah, but I would say I feel it doesn't give you much art, but it gives you enough.
Yeah, it feels like you're exploring something. Like there's mountain ranges, and the gold is vaguely deserts, and then the jungles that are
water,
the green space and the water spaces. And so the only ones like is in the expansion, the hex tiles don't really fit. They're just a weird, dark, spooky hex space. They don't fit like a terrain type. Like it would have been maybe kind of cool if they had done something with those to make them seem like a type of terrain. Like maybe put like creepy jungle ruins or something to where it's like, oh, you're going in a ancient temple on your way to El Dorado and it's cursed.
Yeah, I could see that. I think they were just trying to get visibility and ease of seeing
it's a fine line. Like, because they easily could have messed it up and I'd been like, this is bullshit. They went for art and it makes it harder to play. But considering everything else had worked so well, it would have been kind of nice to see those. I mean, other things like the gray discard cards.
That's very much they chose not to use art at all for that, and that's the only one.
Like gray gravel, like at
Yeah.
most.
It's kind of same for the red, like coal spaces.
That at least is like
There's
a
like
base
buildings.
camp. Yeah, it's
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure they actually give. Is it just gravel? Is that all it is?
It's
For
a
the-
textured gray.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's just kind of gray.
Okay.
So, it would have been kind of nice just to have something to go along, like you said, with the hex ones. But overall, I'm fine with it. I think it looks fine. It's very easy to tell what everything is,
That's very true.
which
yeah.
is really nice.
Yeah.
Because even the difficulties between the similar terrain, it's like light, medium, and dark in color.
Yeah, there's really no confusing.
The only one that could be
things.
better is probably the 1, 2, and 3 gold. There's no real. The differentiation in the shading is so small that it's.
Yeah, but you can pretty clearly see the different
You
tokens for gold.
You can, but on the water and jungle, they are very discernible.
Yeah, very, very distinctly
Yeah.
shaded.
Okay, it's just called rubble spaces, so for the gray ones. So,
Okay. Yeah.
which feels like that one seems like it could have been ruins or something like that.
Yeah.
Sure. Could see that working.
But little
Nitpicks.
little nitpicks.
Yes. Otherwise, everything looks pretty good.
Cool. Let's move over to some rules and rules explanation then. Rules are really easy. They're really simple to explain and nigh impossible to mess up.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how you would mess them
Honestly, I'd almost say too easy.
up. Deceptively
It's a deck
easy.
builder. Go.
Yeah.
Is not the right attitude to have.
No. But it's not much more complicated than that. It's
but it does have some twists on deck building that you would not expect.
yes. So
Which I mean, you could because Reiner Knizia, this is like his first ever thing that had deck building. He'd be like, "Oh, I want to do these couple things different."
Yeah. So the first thing that's maybe kind of easy to mess up. So Zach's little rules explanation at the beginning, actually, we could almost just copy and paste that over here because it's a great intro to the base rules for the game.
Draw 4 cards, play cards.
Yeah.
Draw up to 4 cards.
Yeah, you're playing cards to move on to spaces. So if you want to move on to a forest space, you play a card that has a forest icon and then a strength that is greater than or equal to the space you're moving on.
Yep.
So if it's a 1 forest space you want to move on to, great. You can play any forest card and move on to it. If you want to move on to a forest space that has 3 little machetes, you need a strength 3 or higher.
Do not combine 3 singles to make 3.
And that's the first thing that's you can be easy to mess up if you're just kind of like, oh, this is simple. We understand this. Like, all right, I'm playing 3 singles and moving on to that 3 space. No, like you play 1 card per, like when you move. And then you can, if your card has extra, like if you play a 3 strength and you move on to a 1, you still have 2 strength worth of move. And you can move on to a 2 or move on to another 1. And then if you move on to a 1, you have 1 more and you can kind of keep going in that way, but then you use that card until you're done using that card, and then you play another card to do the next thing.
Correct.
So it's not play 3 cards to do 1 thing. It's play 1 card and do 1 or more things. And then you move as long as you want, and then when you're done moving, you can move into the buying phase, which is also kind of important. Like I don't remember.
I mean, I would say the buying phase is important.
Well, no, I mean just that you have to be done moving.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the weird thing that came up when Megan and I played, where there was something where it was like,
Were you moving next to a cave or something at the
no,
time?
it wasn't that,
Okay.
but I don't remember specifically what it was.
Well, so what it is like there's only one time when you can get a card and you can still keep moving, and that's the when you get the hero card with the expansion.
Yeah, well, you can also use your the transmitter.
I mean, you get the card, but then it just goes away.
It goes into your discard.
Yeah, it goes into your discard. What I mean is when you get a card into your hand,
Oh,
then
yes, then that's the heroes, which is in the expansion.
Yep.
But the other thing that's kind of easy to miss, and Jeff, when he talked about you draw 4, you play some, and then you draw back to 4, you can hold cards in this one.
Yep.
Which I didn't realize until literally my last play of the game. So there were times where it was like, oh, this sucks. I can't really use any of these. Like, oh man, I'm going to really wish I had that 3 boat here in a turn. Like next turn, I bet I'm going to want that card, but I got to discard it. No, I guess I'll wait.
Because deck builders.
Yeah,
Yes.
because that's how deck builders normally play. But no, you can totally just sit on that one and be like, I'm going to keep this one in my hand and I'm going to draw back, I'll discard these 2. I'll play this one, discard these 2, and then I'll draw back to 4, and that's my turn.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really nice. Gives a little bit more strategic depth
Yes.
to the how you play out your cards. Like you're not moving through your deck as fast, but you're keeping useful cards for when they're actually useful and not just getting rid of them a turn before you need them.
No, yeah, that makes sense.
Especially when you have maybe 2 parts of your puzzle that you need, but not the third or fourth. You can just be like, I'm gonna hold.
Yep.
Hold right here.
So another thing that I could not actually find an answer for, and so I'm going to pull you two and see what because this came up, Megan and I played a 2-player game, and we had a board where, so normally you put the boards together, and then you put the barriers across the border. So we had a situation where there was 3 of them that were kind of like this. All right. I'm showing them on the table, but it's like they're kind of like a C or U shape. Yeah. And then one of those little narrow spots was bridging between the 2 arms of the U. I don't know. We ruled that the barrier just extends along the whole border of the tile that you're on, so you can't go around it. Like, yeah, the pieces don't quite fit right, but I looked on BGG. I looked in a few places.
What map was this?
So the map that we're talking about here, so for anybody who has the game and wants to reference it, this comes from the expansion. It's Across the Pass. It's a hard map, and it's just got a weird situation where it's got 2 of the big boards, and then they're connected by 1 big board and 1 small board. So you end up with a weird, really long
extra
border.
Wide space.
Yeah, and it makes kind of a weird pattern, so you can't lay the barriers across it nicely.
I don't know if how many blockades were there? If there are 9, you could technically fit 9 on there, and they just sort of go in separating any tile from another tile.
I don't think there's 9.
Okay,
I think I was 1 short from being able to.
I was gonna say there's 6 in the base game. So if it only came with 2, then yeah. But otherwise, I don't know.
So we just ruled that basically the 1 tile and the narrow tile were 1 tile.
Okay,
and so it was a barrier and a barrier.
I'm fine with that.
I could almost see, because in one of the rule things it talks about when you're building custom boards, having higher numbers on the inner curves and making it easier on the outer curves. So it's easier, but it's longer. So I could almost see you can go around the barriers, but you got to go all the way out and around them.
Right. That makes sense.
One of the things about also creating your own route, it says, if you aren't sure where to put a blockade, don't place it.
Oh.
But that's in your creating your own. But
okay.
Right.
Yeah, maybe there wouldn't be blockades in those areas at all because they're extra wide or something.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. That's one area where there are a couple areas I wish the rules for specific niche things were a little bit more clear. That's an example of that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. And I mean, it still has the same setup. Place a random blockade in each connection between 2 terrain tiles.
Yeah. But yeah. Otherwise, really straightforward rules.
Yeah. Don't combine cards, and you can hold cards for later.
Yeah. And you can't split a card up over multiple terrain types. You can't play a 3 machete and go 2 machetes and then spend a water and then use that last machete that you didn't spend.
No.
Not allowed to do that.
Once you've played another card, you have moved on from your machete use.
Yes.
You threw that on the ground when you were done with it, and then you need a new one on the other side.
Yeah. Later, you pull out a different one from somewhere else.
Uh-huh.
So many machetes just abandoned on the roads to El Dorado.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The expansion doesn't really add a whole lot of difficulty from a rules explanation perspective. It adds some new tiles on the big tiles. They add some new little hexes, and that's the curse hexes, and it adds that new little hero sideboard that we mentioned during components. So you can go into that. If you go into the hero sideboard, you draw the top 3 cards off the hero deck. You pick one of them, and you shuffle the other 2 back in. Really simple. The heroes are crazy powerful. You
Yes.
can only ever get one of them because they're crazy powerful.
And they're usually hard to get to. You're going well out of your way to even get to their camp.
It was really easy in that Across the Pass that Megan and I played. It was really easy to get to those heroes.
Yeah, I think
they're on the main path.
I think it depends on which of the maps, because some of them were a lot harder to get to than others.
Yeah, that was the main way to go, was oh, I'm right by the camp. I might as well spend 1 money to step over into the camp and get a hero.
Well, discard a card. It's discard a card to get into the hero camp.
Now we had it flipped over backwards.
I mean, either way, that's just discard a card is still...
We just
Fair
made
enough.
it harder because it had to be a specific card.
Instead of any card. Yeah.
Okay. Whoops. But yeah, hero cards, real handy. A lot of them are really awesome.
One of them's brutal. Every time you draw it, move every other hero 1 space of your choice.
Oh man, that one's a really mean one.
It's super mean.
So far, nobody's taken that one. It's come out a lot, but
Yeah.
nobody's actually taken it, thankfully. In the game I played with Megan, I took the Scrooge McDuck guy, Scrooge McVeigh or something, That's 6 money.
Just a bunch of money, yeah.
And it's like, all right, well, I never need money ever again.
No, but you can only buy 1 card a turn.
Yes.
So, but the highest cost is 5?
Yep.
Yeah.
So once you have 6, it's like, I never need money ever again.
It's good for money movement.
Yeah, yes.
The curses, you need to remember, don't actually require any cost to move into. They're a free space, but you have to
draw a number of...
Your cost is the curse being randomly drawn out of a bag, or, I mean, they say to stack it into a deck.
Yeah.
But you can just use a blind bag.
That's what we did. We very handily had a microphone case.
Yes.
And so we just threw them in there.
Those can vary wildly in their usefulness or
their detriment.
Detriment, yeah.
Yes.
Some are like move you 2 spaces of the person to your left's choice.
Yeah, the person to your left moves you 2 spaces.
Or just like you can't play 2 money until you play 2 money. Or you can't play money until you've paid 2 money to get rid of the curse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even some of those, like you can't do this card until you do this. They're situationally bad. Like if you get a curse in the middle of like planning to move a bunch of stuff, it can suck.
Yeah.
But if you catch it right at the tail end or something, or you weren't like, oh, I was just going to spend these 2 green cards as 1 money later, I'll discard them to get rid of that curse.
And the reason I bring this up now instead of gameplay is there's a pretty decent iconography guide to understanding what the hell all of these things mean, because a lot of them they don't say.
Yeah.
You just have to be like, what the fuck does this mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Same thing kind of for those cave tiles that are in the base game.
Yeah, which
those are all positives, again, of varying usefulness. And then there are some new ones that get added with the expansion.
That add like anti-curse stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's some other new cards with the curse. All the cards are self-explanatory. Don't need to go into the rule differences for those. Yeah, that's basically it. It really shouldn't be a game that you mess up the rules for if you just read the rules. Even like the you may hold a card, it says so clearly on the little player boards. Like,
yeah. But it's a deck builder. Deck builders don't do that.
Correct.
Yeah. So
that's just us assuming things again.
Yeah. Because Megan was like, so I can hold this card, right? Until my next turn. I was like, no, you can't do that. She goes, it says right here I can. It says discard or hold cards, draw back up to 4. Wait, what? But, all right, so let's move over to some gameplay.
It's a quick game.
It's a really quick game. It actually lives up to that 60 minutes.
Yeah.
We played multiple...
At 4 players.
3 and 4 player games that were right around 60, if not 60.
And I would say a lot of that is due to wherever you are, you really don't have that many choices. Like, you don't have a wide variety of choices of things you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you have a bunch of money in your hands and you're just surrounded by forest, I'm not moving this round. I should figure out what I should buy.
Yep.
Or if you only have forests and you're, going through forests, you're probably like, I'm just going to move because it'll be wasteful to spend because the cards are worth so little.
Yes.
You're like, I should use these to move through.
Which I don't know if we mentioned, non-money cards are worth a half a money each.
Yes.
When you're buying.
Correct.
At the end of a phase.
And it doesn't round up or anything. It's just half a money. So
Yep.
if you have an extra one, just get rid of it.
You could almost just say it rounds down.
Yes. I know. I don't like to say it though. You have 1.5 money. Great. Is there anything that's half money? No. So that half money doesn't matter.
The most downtime really comes sometimes if somebody's buying and it's a situation where right before them, if I was in that situation where I've got my 4 money, okay, I think I'm going to buy this. And then on the turn, whoever's going right before me, on their turn, they buy open an empty spot. And it's like, oh, now I can buy anything to go in there? Is there anything else I might want to, that kind of a little bit of a decision. But there's not a lot of things like that.
There's a lot of deck builders that have once you get you build up your deck a lot, you're taking a while for your turn because you have a whole bunch of stuff to do. This game doesn't really have
interactions.
This game doesn't really have that. So
No.
it even as your deck gets better, it's still pretty manageable in terms of what it's trying to do. So
Yeah, I think at most you'd have 5 cards at once.
6 cards.
There's a draw 2.
There's
Okay.
a draw 3. So
Oh, draw 3.
yeah. But you'd have to use it to get the 3 cards.
Okay.
So not a terribly unmanageable hand. Even
No.
late game, if you have a 5 forest and a 4 water, it's like, okay, I've got a lot of cards. I can do a lot of forest movement, but it's really I'm playing this one card and I'm where, am I using all of it? Am I not? And it's just counting. It's like,
And all of that is if you have clear open space in front of you.
Yeah.
Many times, because this game, you can't go in the same space as somebody else, I guess, because they'll just machete you to death.
correct.
There's definitely a lot of blocking in this game, which can be very fuck you-y,
Yes.
depending on certain spots. Because there were at least a couple times where there was very much a narrowing of the path, and it was like there's like 1 or 2 spots you can go, and someone would be like, I'm gonna take my time through here, and everyone is just like, God, just fucking go.
I'm just gonna sit here and buy for a while.
Yeah. I want to make sure my deck is the best that it can be.
Yes.
As good as possible.
Yeah.
Because it is a race.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get there first.
Yep.
You also want to hit all those blockades first.
Yeah, and one thing that I do like is that I've always, every time we play this game, I'm the person that's like, all right, fucking, I am going through it as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Because I will always end up with the most blockades.
Yeah. But on those less fast paths are the culling spots,
Yeah.
or the hero camp,
Exactly.
or or the caves that give you like beneficial hexes.
Yeah, and so every time, or at least the last couple times when we played, me going the super quick path, someone going like trying to build up their deck more, we ended up at roughly the same amount of spots.
Yeah, I feel like the pre-made maps are really well balanced in that regard. Like, then they talk about it in the rules for setting up your own of like trying to do that, like make sure that, you know, if there's a path that goes around a bend, like on the outside, put the lower numbers, on the inside, put the higher numbers, so that it's roughly the same amount of points to get around, you know, and it talked about things like managing choke points and things like that. And they did a really good job with the maps they made.
Yes.
Because and even like I played with Megan, it was her first time playing. I'd played, I don't know, nearly a half dozen times, and she was able to compete. I mean, granted, Megan's a really good gamer, so like that's not always an indication. But the fact she was able to like, you know, be right there in the game, like I only won on a tiebreaker with her, is really because like, I think these maps are pretty well balanced in that. I even like that you can go a very heavy strategy for like getting caves and it doesn't put you too far ahead. Or you can go a really like, oh, I'm going to run through this massive mire of hex spaces and take, I don't know, how many hexes did you take, Zach? A dozen?
At least that, but then I was...
Curse spaces?
The curse, I went the first time we had curse.
They're hexed hexes.
Yeah, they're hexed hexes.
Yes.
I was just like, you know what? I want to see, because it's a free space to move through, you just get a hex, right?
Yeah.
So you get a curse. And so I was like, you know what? Let's see what happens if you are just like, any chance I get, I'm getting a curse. And I ended up barely losing that one with almost no cards left in my deck because I was able to cull enough of them out.
Yeah.
And so that one I only lost because I didn't have one green to move on to El Dorado.
I did the curse path, and then I got all the real fuck you ones.
Well, you got
back to back to back to back.
You got hit with the 2. Person to your left moves you 2 spaces, and in both situations, it was like I was able to move you back. It was like you got it early in that curse track because you tried to follow Zach on the same path he did.
Yeah.
And you got it on like your first one. So I was like, I move you back 2 spaces. So then you had to spend cards to get back to the curse track. And then as soon as you did, it was like, I move you back 2 spaces again.
Yep.
So it can, if you get the wrong card at the wrong time, that can really hurt you.
And in our last game, you got it. And
you got all 3 of them.
Oh my God. Yes, I did. And I still was right there in the hunt.
Yep.
I lost the tiebreaker.
For how much you get moved around and fucked with a lot of those curses or whatever that hero card was, like, it's always really tight.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
The first game we played, I got super fucked over and over again.
Yeah, my first game, I got fucked real hard too.
Because it's all just draw. Like, you don't get what you need to move anywhere. I guess I'm not moving anywhere this turn. And so I'd spend, like, every other turn was just me not being able to move, period.
Yeah. That's one thing I definitely realized in this game is you want to get to those coal spots if you can. You want to get, like, the scientist if you can help it, because you don't want your deck to be bloated in this, because especially in some of the super choke pointy parts, unless you, like, if you only have, like, one level 3 forest or, you know, jungle card, it's going to take forever to get through some spots.
Could be 3 or 4 turns.
Exactly.
Although that's where, like, being able to hold cards, I think, comes in really handy. Because, like, I think back to that first one where I got stuck, there was a time where I was like, oh, I have the card I need to move into that 3 space, but somebody's on it, so I can't. Oh, well, I got to discard my hand.
Yeah.
And then it took a while for me to get it back.
Yeah.
Whereas if I had known you could just hold it, it's like, oh, I hold it. Okay, they're gone next turn. Now I can move there.
No, it makes sense. It definitely makes sense.
And
that happened with me in that one time that we've run into a card where you can actually move onto the same space. Adrian went through my space into the one in front of me, and I had the card to move, but I discarded it.
Yeah. And so with that ability, it becomes more important and a little bit more strategic to look ahead and see like, oh, I have this 3 forest right now. I could use it to move these 3 singles, and then I'll be up against the 3 forest. It's like, or I'll hold this. I'll move 1 forest with this other one, and then hope, that I'll get 2 singles to move up there and then use the 3 to move on to the big one.
No, it gives you, like you said, it gives you a little bit more strategic decisions to make. Because I remember there was one board that's like every other tile spot is a different type.
Oh my God.
So it's like,
all random.
It's right here. It's the River Delta
yeah,
on the expansion.
So it was like one little village thing, 1 water, 1 thing, and you were spending like 3 and 3. Yeah.
Yeah, that sucked. I mean, there was no option there.
No, you're not
'cause
wrong.
I'm not going to sit on those 3s and be like,
Exactly.
I don't move anything. I'm holding these 3/3 cards.
exactly.
I draw 1 card. I move 1 space.
Yeah. But that's one thing I do like is that like the big cards then only help you in very situational spots. Like that the 6 forest or the 6 jungle spot is
One-time use.
It's one-time use, which, is all, so you're going to be like, you want to use it when you can move 6. And it would be really annoying if you're like, I have a great turn, but then you'd have to spend that on and only move like once or twice. But you're like, but I need to move those 2 in order to not go behind. So, and there's definitely some combination of things that can be, I don't want to say it's broken. It's just, it can be very powerful in a way you're not expecting.
Yes.
So if you get one of the cave tokens that's like, you can change that symbol into whatever symbol you want.
Holy shit.
Then you're like, I'm going to get me that fucking 6 forest, because then that can become 6 of anything. Like I used it to jet across basically a lake.
You discovered jet ski,
Yes.
like ski-doos.
Yes.
Yes.
And that let me like the first, I think that was the second game I played, but the first one using most of the right rules, that I was able to shoot at, like I ended up winning the game like 1 tile ahead of everybody else because I was able to get across all that water in one go and did not have to worry about it.
Yeah, and that only...
Especially because water, I think, is one of the least common types.
Only the hero cards have more water, or the same amount of water movement.
Yes.
That one combo had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'd have to have the captains, and then or if you had like the plane that gives you 4 movement of, like still that 6 movement is just the fastest. Yeah.
And then there is a promo pack that we don't have that does add a one-time use 6 paddle in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did we talk about how the market, how you can?
No, we haven't talked anything about purchasing.
I touched on it a little bit earlier in gameplay when I talked about like places where decisions can bog down if somebody opens up a spot.
Right.
But to really specifically address it, like, the way the market works is you've got 6 spots.
Yep. And it's the starting, you have a
starting
base,
6.
Yes. That are always the same thing.
Yeah. There's 3 of each card. And so one of those spots gets emptied. Somebody buys that 3rd card. It opens a new spot. The next person to buy can buy any card from the supply. And then the 2 remaining in that stack move into that market spot. So you can run into situations where then you actually have a big decision of like, which one do I take? And, you get the first one, but you're also then now making that thing available for everybody else to buy.
But you're also making it so where other people can't buy
It's something else.
something else. So it's, I like that aspect of it.
And that's where cards like the Transmitter, which is one of the base cards, is a really powerful card because it lets you just take one of those other cards. It basically exchange it for one of those other cards.
So you can get that for 4, and then when you use it, you can get a 5.
Yeah.
So.
And then it doesn't put that 5 in the market.
Exactly.
So.
One of the games I played, all 3 transmitters got taken, and then they all were used on the same card. So no one was able to actually buy whatever card that was.
I know one of the games we played, like towards the end of the game, sometimes like I've noticed buying really tapers off.
Yeah.
So like towards the end of the game, there were 2 open spots. So you could buy literally any card, but everybody was like, nope.
No, I want to move because,
Culling out most of the money cards and using what money you have to move across money spots really becomes a thing.
Yeah, but it's definitely, you want to try and pay attention to what you have in your deck, because you can go crazy with the culling and then realize, hey, I only have 1 green thing left in my deck. That's
Yes.
not great.
No.
Or I don't have any water. Or
and there's a huge water section coming up.
Exactly.
That's unfortunate. Yeah. Being cognizant of those kind of things is important. I've had varying amounts of success with different size decks. Like one of the games that we played, I think it was the last game the three of us played together, I ended up with a really thin deck. Like I think I had like 6 cards, so I was shuffling like almost every hand. And then like the game I played with Megan, I ended up having like a 10 card deck, but it was just 10 really good cards.
Right.
And so I've had varying success with that. As long as you thin out the shit cards, like you don't want a big deck full of your shitty cards.
Exactly.
But if you can get rid of those and get a big deck of good cards, it can still be very powerful.
Well, and then that's also when you have the with the expansion, the curses that just get thrown in your thing to help muddy it out. Then you're just like, you need a scientist, or do that thing that you did where you just bounced out of a coal spot to go back into the coal spot, bounce out and go back in, and you did it like 4 times.
Oh yeah. Megan did that in our game today too. She was like, so can I like go here, just get rid of this card, then spend the money to go here and then go right back, and then money and then go right back? Like, yeah, you can do that. I was planning on going to that coal spot and you're going to end up there at the end of your turn. So that sucks for me, but good job for you.
Well, that was definitely going to make her do that then. If
not.
Yeah. Did you double check the rules to make sure you can do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the rules do allow that.
And curses.
Yes. And you can even, there was, I found a thing on BGG, like you can use like a 3 machete to go away and back.
Yeah.
And that's still fine. It's not, you have to like spend extra cards or anything weird like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Pretty straightforward gameplay. Lots of room for getting in each other's way.
Yep. I'd also like in the expansion, you got a companion that's basically like gives you, it's like that one card of
asymmetric
yes.
starts.
Yeah. So you start with 9.
Yeah, you start with 9 instead of 8. And they all have, it's like, it could be like 1 money or 1 paddle and 1, jungle, or one of all 3.
Two jungle.
Gotcha.
The cow.
Yeah. And then you can also get rid of it, call it from your deck to get a more powerful version of it.
Yeah, the cow goes from like a 2 to a 3, I think. Some go to like a 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The parrot is nice extra money.
Yeah, the parrot is only 1 money, but you can call it to get 3 money, and so that lets you get a pretty good card. Like, I remember I had that in our last game, and I was like, immediately, first thing I do is kill the parrot to get something better.
Like a transmitter.
Yeah.
I think that's about it for me for gameplay.
Yeah.
So let's get on to some final thoughts. All right, Zach, as the first person to handle the game, what are your final thoughts?
I like it. I like deck building. I think this does a good job with deck building. I can appreciate the changes they made towards the deck building of keeping the cards, and then also you can't combine the two of them. It makes sense for this style of game.
Mm-hmm.
It plays in that 60 minutes, like we were saying, or quicker. I feel like your turns aren't really bogged down by other people like APing or anything like that. It gives you strategic and tactical decisions to make, but it doesn't overburden you with them, which is always good. It felt tight every time we were playing, especially as the person that would always get very far ahead in the beginning and then watch people slowly get closer and closer. And
sometimes very quickly get closer.
And I was like, oh God, no. And just trying to make it, like you said, I think like the components and all that stuff is serviceable. It's not the best, but it all looks fine. I liked
very cryptid in its serviceable art.
Yes. I think I would continue to play it with the expansion. I think that adds some interesting things in there. But with that, you have to let people know it's going to be like blocking is, more passive aggressive, but there are definitely some of these in here that can really hurt somebody more than somebody else. Right. And then I just overall, I thought it was a pretty good game, and definitely one that I would like to play, and I would like to try it with the next expansion. So it should be cool.
The promos?
No, the actual the Golden Temples or something like that.
Oh, is there another expansion?
Yes.
Okay.
I would be interested in checking out an expansion.
And I think there might be something about like you then get into El Dorado, and then you're exploring it, and you can combine the two or something like that. So you're going to El Dorado, and then you go into El Dorado. So if that's true, that sounds like a cool idea. Yeah. Overall, I think it's a pretty pretty great game. It definitely feels like a lot lighter than something like Clank, because that one has a lot more things you can do and things like that. So, but because of it, it's a lot longer, especially that game of Clank in Space that we played. So I don't know. I think overall I might prefer this one more, just because it is just a lot more streamlined.
Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't overstay its welcome.
Right on. I'll go next. I like this game. I had a real shit first game.
Mhm.
I was not impressed after my first game, but that was a good example of me recognizing that there was a fair amount about the situation that wasn't ideal. I'd had a really long day. I'd played 18 holes of golf, got nice and sunburned and was quite exhausted, and then played and then got blocked and then just felt real shitty and was just tired and grumpy. I was like, I'm not going to let that bog me down. I think there was enough there that I liked, that I really made sure to not let that sour my overall opinion too much. And then I've played it, like a half dozen more times and have really enjoyed every other play I've had of it. Even ones where, Zach got to constantly move me back and back and back and back and really fuck me as much as possible. And I still managed I was starting to get a little salty, but then I still managed to catch right up and was okay.
I think that was the same game where we all three finished on the same turn.
It was. To use your kind of comparison there, Zach, with Clank, they're not even in the same fucking ballpark for me. I don't like Clank. I like this. I really enjoyed playing it. I played a 2-player game with Megan. I think I'm the only one here who played 2-player.
Correct.
You used 2 tokens in that one instead of 1, two explorers. Which really the main reason you do that is the board's just way too open if there's only 2 explorers on the entire board. So you add the other 2 to kind of leave some room for some blocking, which makes for some really interesting strategies about you could have one guy hang out and take time going to coal spots and going to caves and trying to really build things while your other one you just try to race as fast as possible. Or you can kind of balance moving them together and doing things together with them and using them to really cut somebody off. A lot of different things you can do that I really liked. Megan and I liked playing it as a 2-player game. I love actually how quick it plays. Being able to knock out a full game of this, even with all the expansions, every module, everything in it on a hard map, and have it be an hour or an hour and 15 is great. I like the variability. The maps all seem really well balanced. Yeah, it's solid. I feel like it was May, I think, suggested that there was a different racy deck builder that she liked more.
Automobiles. I think.
So now that makes me, as much as I liked this, I'd be curious if there's something that somebody thinks is even better at this style of thing. I might be interested in checking that out too. I really enjoyed it. Jeff, what do you think?
Game's good. Yeah, I agree with everyone. I like how blocky it is.
Yes.
There is some interactivity in there. Some of the interactivity is not as balanced as you wish it was, especially when you get to some with those little cave tiles. I mean, it's just luck of the draw on those cave tiles, but that can be a little swingy.
Yeah, some of those are real fucking good.
Yeah.
But you can play without them. They are a variant.
They are variant. But I would probably still rather play with them.
I agree with that, yes. I just want to let people know that is an option.
Yeah. It's a little too dry without a lot of this stuff. The expansion, I think, is mandatory, and it's all pretty cheap to get as well. I wish there was more pre-constructed expansion maps. It only has 6, 3 medium and 3 hard difficulty.
And that's for the expansion.
Yeah, I wish there was more expansion maps.
Yeah.
The regular maps, there's a bunch of, but I don't want to play without the expansion stuff anymore.
Yeah,
so only having 6 pre-made maps at this point.
And some of the regular maps are easy maps, which feel really oversimplified.
And that definitely leans more towards, this is a family game on top of that, where you can play easily with kids and things like that. But as grown adults playing this baby game, the expansion is much needed for that level of interactivity and challenge and fuck you-y that I enjoy in games.
Agreed.
I know there's a bunch of fan-made basic maps, but I haven't in my cursory glances found any extra pre-made expansion maps yet.
I think you'd have to look in the expansion.
I looked in the expansion files, and there might be some forum posts or something in there, but nothing at a cursory glance that I find. But yeah, expansion's good, game's good, looks good, plays good, game's good.
Right on. One thing I do want to mention, since you kind of brought up like the family game and like where you'd want to play with the expansions and stuff. I played with Megan. We played everything on a hard map, and she had never played. And we got done, and I was like, okay, yeah. So that was with everything. Like, she's like, oh, that was, because she was talking about like, yeah, I liked it. It was simple. There, there's a good space for this to be a good game night game. She's like, I'm curious. Like, you said you have the expansion. Like, what things that I was like, no, we played with like everything.
Yeah,
like, we played with fucking everything. It's like the base game is like, you don't have these, you don't have these, you don't have these, you don't have these, you don't have these. She's like, oh, that sounds boring. Like, yeah, I could see that.
Even as a base game, it is good, but it is much better with all the expansions.
I think it's like Stockpile, where it's like you can
play the base game.
You can do super basic if you want.
You can play the expert map
exactly,
and get the cool stuff going.
Yeah, that's our final thoughts.
3 thumbs up.
3 thumbs up, which moves us over to some listener feedback, where we have a couple posts in the BGG thread. Zach, you got those ready to go?
Yes, I do. First one is from Jeff Calgary. Likely you will get into this, but in case you didn't, do you think the non-standard deck building mechanisms work well? By this, I mean the ability to keep the cards for the next hand if they're not played, and the ability to use all movement cards as 1/2 coin values if they're not played for movement.
I mean, we kind of got into it, but I thought it worked really well in this game, both aspects of that.
Yeah.
I like the idea that you never, because of the 1/2 coin value, you technically don't have a useless card. I mean, it can be functionally useless because, like you were saying, you can be like, I've got 3.5 money, but there's nothing that costs 1/2 money. I really like the added strategic value of like, I could use this card right now, but I think it'll be better if I wait and use it in a turn or two.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there have been times, but Megan actually sat on, and I don't know if this was a great strategy for her, she sat on one of her curse cards for an extra turn because she was like, I'm getting towards a coal spot, and I want to make sure I have it to coal.
Right.
So I don't ever have to deal with it again, rather than like getting to the coal spot and being like, I don't really have it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like both those mechanics.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
If for no other reason, they're an interesting twist that's not common in deck builder games.
Yep.
And I like when things do new things.
Any favorite map layout from the rules, or even a preference for easy, medium, hard map length / difficulty? Prefer the harder ones.
Yeah.
I haven't played on anything under medium.
I haven't either, but I feel like I've heard I don't
like if you're playing in a family situation where like maybe with kids or people who aren't gamers, maybe. If you're playing with gamers, throw that added little bit of toughness and decision making in there.
Agreed. And then
I mostly play hard.
Yeah. And I like the longer ones too. Or there are some where they have like interesting decisions they make for how the board was laid out. So I don't have anything. It's not like, oh, I really like the blind spot or something like that, but it's just more of a like just difficulty wise, if we're playing with people who are, like you said, more seasoned gamers in that, or just not beginners, super beginners. It's just, I think hard would be the best idea.
Yeah. So far there hasn't been any maps that I've super liked or disliked more than others. I do know, like, so Megan and I played that Across the Past, and so we played that literally this morning before recording, so it's really fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
The thing that's kind of obnoxious about that one is, like, we've got the little thing here, so if you guys look at it, the first tile and a half, 2 tiles, are where 3 of the 4 coal spots are, and there's not another one until the end.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I like the maps more like some of these other ones where there's some coal spots, like, in the middle and along the way. Because, like, you don't want to coal too much too early, because then you can't do anything. You want to get a little bit of a deck built up, but in this one, and so I like having them spread out a little bit more, or even weighted more towards the middle and end. But it was also like an interesting thing of like, made it a good 2-player map because it gave you a reason to leave one person hanging back, coaling a bunch while your other one went ahead, and then you had a good deck to race that last one towards the end.
No, it makes sense. Yeah.
So,
and also, should I buy Heroes and Hexes? Yes.
I would say yes.
Yeah. Next one is from Let Them Eat Cardboard.
Great name.
Yes. It's a great race game with the typical Knizia tightness and stripped down mechanics. In this case, deck building. It's full of interesting choices despite the simplicity, and almost always driven by other players' positions and choices. The first expansion is a downgrade thanks to some weird bloat, but the next expansion is looking solid. The only thing I don't like is the tiny cards. Why can't we have real cards?
Man after Jeff's own heart.
Yes. I guess bloat. I mean,
I could see that.
it's definitely more than
Yeah, it's definitely more.
the
It's
base
just
game.
whether
I mean,
you think it's more is enough.
I like the more complicated maps, and I really like the heroes and the
Familiars.
Thank you. I could do without the curse cards. I think they add, though, like we saw in that one where Zach and you both took that, like, hey, we're gonna race through this stretch of 5 curse tiles because it lets you move a whole lot around the outside of the board.
Mm-hmm.
I like that it adds that extra strategic decision
Yes.
with a little bit of risk,
Because it's like I said, it's a free spot with a possible big downside.
Yeah.
So
and I've found that it's fairly easy to also just avoid them. I think that map we played where I ended up winning was the only one where you got to the end, it was like, holy shit, it's going to be real hard to not do any curse cards.
yeah,
But that's where you just try to find other cards that let you move on to them without spending, like
That's
the
true.
Geologist or the Native.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's it for BGG.
Oh yes, yeah. Sorry, I was sort of forgot what we were doing.
Yeah. So no more listener feedback. If you have any thoughts about the game, feel free to jump over to that thread even after the fact and mention them, and we'll address it in a future Wednesday episode when we see that you've done such a thing. If you would like to pick up the game, both it and the expansion are widely available. $20-ish, anywhere from 23s up to 28s for El Dorado, and then high teens for the expansion. So you can get both of them for $50 on the high end. That's probably too high. I don't think I'd spend $50 for both of them. But if you can get them on that low end, $20 and $13, 30, $35, something like that for both,
That's not bad.
probably worth it. So definitely glad that Boyd handed that one off to us. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
For sure.
I was really hoping it was a good game because I like good games. Believe it or not, I actually like to play good games. But I was also, just because it was Andrew, I was kind of hoping that I could give him some shit for passing off something real crappy. But he nailed it. Another podcast unanimous. Pretty good.
Yep.
That wraps everything up. If you would like to get a hold of us, there are multiple ways for you to do so. You can send us emails.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You can find us over on Twitter, where I tweet under at MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
And I am Jeff_MHGG.
We have Facebook and Instagram, both /MileHighGameGuys, where you can like and follow us and see things that we post. And we have our website, milehighgameguys.com, with weekly episode posts. For every episode, so twice weekly episode posts over on the website. And all of those episode posts include show notes with links to the things we talk about, the games, the news items, the Kickstarters, all of that, as well as links to our Slack channel, super active, hundreds of members talking about all kinds of things. There's also links to the Board Game Geek Guild number 2731, where there's weekly episode posts over there from Zach. You can give feedback before or after episodes that we record. And finally, there's a link over to our Patreon, patreon.com/milehighgameguys, if you want to support the show with the monies financially. So plenty of ways to get in touch with us and support the show and do all of those fun and fantastic things. That kind of wraps up everything, I think. Contact, all of that. We're coming up next week, 3-year anniversary. Been doing this for 3 years.
In case you don't speak slur, he said anniversary. He said anniversary.
Anniversary.
Anniversary. Yes.
That's how I say anniversary.
I know. I was just translating that for everyone else.
Do people really anniversary?
It's called enunciating your words.
Enunciating
Anniversary,
is
yeah.
annoying. Anniversary.
Sorry.
I wasn't saying you were wrong. I was just making sure everyone else knew you were
Yeah.
talking about.
I'm pretty sure they did, thanks to this thing called context.
It's a fickle mistress.
But anyway, for the anniversary, we are going to be doing a giveaway. We're giving away a $50 CSI gift card. So you can get $50 worth of stuff on our dime towards your $100 free shipping limit that I know everybody's going to try and hit. If you want to enter that giveaway, It's really easy this time. And all you have to do is grab your phone and dial 702-720-6444. That's 702-720-MHGG. And leave a voicemail. And, some kind of vague amount of substance. Just know that it's going to go on the air. So, keep that in mind. Don't read your social security number and bank information, because we'll just throw it on the end of the episode.
Don't expect us to keep that secure for you.
Yeah, that's on you. But yeah, leave us a voicemail. It'll get included on our anniversary celebration eagle stroking episode that we're going to do next week. And you'll be entered into a giveaway that we'll also announce next week. So you have until Saturday. It's like a day and a half when you're listening to this to get that voicemail in. I look forward to hearing from you. That's officially everything.
Yes.
So, as always, I've been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And I'm Dr. Jeffingston.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.